In the fall of 2019, teachers from all over the Little Rock School District gathered together at Central High School National Park to talk about how they might integrate social justice into the classroom.
I realized that the value of bringing all the teachers out here, one of the biggest values was just getting us on the site, getting us to hear the story, because a lot of the teachers commented, and this is true about me as well, even though we live in the area of Little Rock Central, we know students, friends of ours, or our own children went to Little Rock Central, or go to Little Rock Central, or will go to Little Rock Central, but we don't really know the story. We know about the Little Rock Nine, we know the general idea, but until you get in here and you look around, you walk around, and this exhibit is fantastic. And then Randy Dodson, the ranger who shared the story of Little Rock Central with us, was all extremely valuable in really getting us to think more deeply about the story, to care more deeply about the story, and to realize what a rich resource that we have here. So it's really fantastic.
Yeah, my name is Randy Dodson. I'm a park ranger here at Little Rock Central High School National Historic Site. And what we talk about here is the integration of this school in 1957. And this is a very, very big deal that happened here. And I think it's important that kids of today know what happened here, because it's directly getting results from what happened here. This was it was monumental, because before this time, blacks couldn't get the same education that whites could. And so I think it's important that all kids know how the way that they're going to school now come about. And I think it's important for the teachers to be able to tell the story and tell it honestly, and not sugarcoat it, not fluff it up. Kids know more than you think they do. So we have to be honest with them, and I try to be honest with them, but I go on their level. You can't tell them the hard stuff for third graders, but you can make relations, said this versus that, or whatever way they can understand it. But I think it's a very important story.
Listening to Randy Dodson is so inspiring. He embodies the story in a way that makes history real. And I think that for all of us, as we were talking at the end of the day, if we can spend time learning the history so that we too can tell the story in a way that we embody it, our students will hear it in a different way. They'll feel it and understand it in a much more human and live way. And that's one of the things that I think is really important when, as teachers, we're trying to talk about history and social justice, but also when we're trying to talk about how to do good writing. Good writing happens when you make it alive. And that happens here, when you learn here, for sure.
In February, I attended a social justice workshop through the Little Rock Writing Project. And at that time, I was exploring the idea, how can these stories be heard? Because our students have really profound stories about crossing the border, coming into this country, but they also have stories about growing up, and there's just universal things that we all experience as human beings. And so it really shows how we are the same more than we are different, and I thought this would be a wonderful place for our students' voices to be heard. And I'm so glad it worked out for us to come to the National Historic Site after I had been through the writing project and explored the site here.
The Little Rock Writers Project Social Justice Workshop at Central High really reinvigorated my excitement and passion for bringing and teaching social justice in my 11th grade English classroom. It also provided a really wonderful and collaborative environment where teachers could come and discuss how we typically bring it into the classroom and what works, what doesn't work, and what we want to experiment with in the future, which is always really exciting. And I left with a more structured idea of how I will teach a social justice unit next year that will both incorporate writings, readings, and some community service as well. I also left feeling motivated to take my students to Central High School, since it is a great resource and asset in this city that I don't think is utilized enough, especially, I know, in my classroom.
One of the things that I found most valuable about learning about Central High School, and I've been studying and researching what happened here for a couple years now, is that I live in the neighborhood, and for me it was very clearly obvious that this was a part of history I needed to learn. I was an outsider, and I knew that I was very ignorant about what had happened here. And so I actively started researching my neighborhood. And the thing that I've found over the years is that if you can engage with history in that way, if you can think about it as the place you live, the community you live in, and the people that are still part of the community you live in, it makes the learning much more present and important. And I think that in the classroom and in the writing that I do, I try and bring that story to others, to let them feel what feels real and immediate for me in my neighborhood and what's happening here. And I'm always happy when I get to share these stories with others, because I know it's so important